Question. Compare how fundamental rights protect individual liberties, justiciable, while DPSPs aim for collective social welfare, non justiciable. Hello, friends. Today, we will compare two of the most important parts of the Indian Constitution: Fundamental Rights, Part 3, and Directive Principles of State Policy, Part 4. These two represent two different but complementary philosophies of the Constitution. Fundamental rights are the justiciable rights guaranteed to every citizen. They protect individual liberties and act as limitations on the power of the state. They are enforceable by courts. If any law or action violates a fundamental right, a citizen can directly approach the Supreme Court or High Court under Article 32 or Article 226 for remedy. These rights are negative in nature. They tell the state what it cannot do. They focus on protecting the individual from arbitrary state action and safeguarding personal freedom, equality, and dignity. On the other hand, directive principles of state policy are non justiciable guidelines given to the state. They are positive in nature. They tell the state what it should do to establish a welfare state and achieve socio-economic justice. They aim at collective social welfare rather than individual rights. They are not enforceable by any court, which means no citizen can go to court if the government fails to implement them. However, Article 37 declares that it shall be the duty of the state to apply these principles in making laws. They act as a moral and political yardstick to judge the performance of any government. The basic difference lies in their nature and purpose. Fundamental rights are individualistic and justiciable. They protect civil and political liberties such as freedom of speech, equality before law, and protection against exploitation. They are enforceable and form the basic structure of the Constitution. In contrast, directive principles are collectivistic and non justiciable. They focus on socio-economic goals like right to work, equal pay, free education, and improvement of public health. They represent the social and economic democracy that the constitution makers wanted to achieve. To understand this relationship and the tension between them, we must look at important cases in chronological order. The conflict first appeared in the state of Madras versus Champakam Dorairajan case in 1951. The Madras government had introduced community based reservations in medical colleges to implement directive principles. The Supreme Court struck it down because it violated Article 15, prohibition of discrimination. The court held that directive principles cannot override fundamental rights. This conflict continued in the Golaknath case in 1967, where the Supreme Court gave primacy to fundamental rights and held that Parliament cannot amend fundamental rights to implement directive principles. The landmark turning point came in the Kesavananda Bharati case in 1973. The 13 judge bench held that both fundamental rights and directive principles are part of the basic structure of the Constitution. They are complementary to each other and together form the conscience of the Constitution. The court said that directive principles cannot be used to destroy fundamental rights, but they must be harmonized. In the Minerva Mills case in 1980, the Supreme Court struck down parts of the 42nd Amendment that gave absolute priority to directive principles over fundamental rights. The court held that the harmony and balance between fundamental rights and directive principles is itself part of the basic structure of the Constitution. Neither can be allowed to destroy the other. Later cases like Unikrishnan versus State of Andhra Pradesh in 1993 and Olga Tellis versus Bombay Municipal Corporation in 1985 showed the court reading directive principles into Article 21 to expand the meaning of the right to life. The court used directive principles as an aid to interpret fundamental rights and give them socio-economic content. The main characteristics of this relationship are: fundamental rights are justiciable and protect individual liberties, while directive principles are non justiciable and aim at collective welfare. Fundamental rights are negative in character, while directive principles are positive. Both together represent the goal of establishing political democracy through fundamental rights and social democracy through directive principles. The Supreme Court has consistently tried to harmonize them rather than allow one to override the other. Friends, fundamental rights and directive principles are two wheels of the same chariot. Fundamental rights protect the individual from the tyranny of the state, while directive principles guide the state towards building a just and egalitarian society. Without fundamental rights, democracy would become majoritarian tyranny. Without directive principles, democracy would remain formal and hollow. The Supreme Court, through its wise judgments, has maintained a delicate balance between the two, ensuring that India moves towards both political and socio-economic democracy. In conclusion, fundamental rights and directive principles represent two different but complementary dimensions of the Constitution. Fundamental rights are justiciable and protect individual liberties, while directive principles are non justiciable and aim for collective social welfare. Through landmark cases from Champakam Dorarajan to Minerva Mills and beyond, the Supreme Court has established that both are integral parts of the basic structure and must be harmonized. This balance is what makes the Indian Constitution a unique document that seeks to achieve both individual freedom and social justice. In the ultimate analysis, the success of Indian democracy depends on how effectively these two parts work together to realize the dreams of the freedom struggle. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.